Welcome, everyone. May is Sexual Assault Prevention Month. We are here with the Kawartha Sexual Assault Center. Be sure to connect on all our social medias because we have some fundraisers and giveaways going on right now. The conversation today is going to be with Tracey. This is our Crisis and Services Coordinator. And I know we've had a huge increase, as you've seen on our social media, in people accessing our crisis support. So Tracey, I'm so happy you're here. Welcome.
Thanks, Alicia. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to talk about this, especially during Sexual Assault Prevention Month, and about our crisis services and what we do and how people can reach out to them. So thank you
Amazing.
for having me.
Oh no, thank you. So I guess my first question for especially for the folks listening and wondering about who you are and the work that you do, can you maybe go over that? I know we have 3 lines of crisis support, so you must be very busy.
Yeah, so I'm the crisis services coordinator. So it's just what it says. I oversee the crisis services and make sure people have ease of access and that they get connected to our center if they wish to. So, and one of my main roles has been for the past year since our chat and text went 24/7. It's been almost a year, Alicia. It's June 30th. I can't believe it.
We need
Of
a
course,
birthday party or something like that for
I
it.
know time is weird in this COVID land, but so it's been almost a year since we started. So one of my main roles is to oversee that chat, help with the training of volunteers. And as you know, we have like the world's best volunteers, so that people on the other end of the crisis line, the chat and the texting are getting a highly trained volunteer in how to support sexual assault survivors. So I oversee that and help with the training and the scheduling and in troubleshooting and any tech issues. I work with the company to try to address those too. Also in my role, I do groups here at the center and some workshops. And I've done a bit of community work when people reach out to the center and are wanting to learn more about trauma and how to process trauma and get tools on how to, help themselves or their clients with processing that trauma. And I do a few other things. So, but my main role is to oversee our chat and text line.
You mentioned that it was just almost last year that we launched our 24/7 not only phone line, but introduced our texting and our online web chat support. Why was that so important 2 months after lockdown? Why was that texting and online support so important in addition to the phone?
Yeah. So with people, so many reasons, right? And people had to be at home. So we found that people were youth especially, right? Because youth prefer to text or to chat over talk on the phone. So if you think about it, like youth and having to be at home, students, and also college and university students having to move back home, not everyone's environment is safe, right?
Mhm.
The fact remains that some youth and kids are actually safer at school than home. So we found, like with the text and web chat, people could go on confidentially and no one in the house would know that they were reaching out, but they could reach out for support. So and like I say, a lot of youth especially prefer to chat, but there's all age groups now that are texting and web chatting. So, and definitely, as you've talked about in other videos with crisis supports, and we're seeing this across our nation, that anyone that has a crisis line, the crisis calls have gone up. I forget what percentage it is now. So stressors, right? And that's what a crisis line is for. So, but especially survivors who experience sexual assault, gender-based violence, this new collective trauma, COVID, new trauma can bring up old trauma.
Hmm.
So right? So the stress from that can bring up other things. So we try to provide a confidential, as safe as possible place for people to be supported in that moment when they're going
Mhm.
through things, right? But the risk of violence when people are stressed and sheltered with each other, that risk goes up. So we've certainly supported survivors being triggered on the chat line, as we always do, but we have had some tougher cases of people experience violence within the home in
Mhm.
that moment. So that's what we're there for, right? To
Mhm.
for people to reach out to, right? For those really tough, harder situations. So yeah. So it was a good thing to start during the pandemic when everybody was together, and just to let people know they're not alone. And when we say that, because you do this work, and that is our main message, right?
Yeah.
You're not alone means you'll have someone to talk to in that moment when you need it.
Yeah. And yeah, and Nicole last week was talking about how things are more complex. And I think that, you hit the nail right on the head, that even though we're in a pandemic, it's almost like previous trauma has been brought back. And, all of our coping mechanisms, our healing strategies that were external within the community are now no longer there right now, with everything being locked down, right? You couldn't go to that coffee shop or that hair salon to get that time away. You can't walk into the center, and so everything is virtual. And I'm curious, who accesses these supports? Is it only for certain groups or certain populations? And what is accessing those supports? What do they look like?
Yeah, so anybody, all age groups, right? Often we do point people, our services at the center are for 16 and up, but we've certainly had younger than that reach out to the chat line. And we work with them and also refer them to Kids Help Phone, because they're very expert on what they do. And they also have chat and text for kids. So we make that initial connection and then hopefully refer them there. We get all age groups at KSAC. So reaching out, right? So things can pop up on social media that are, people have said, hey, I'm really glad survivors are coming forward. But at the same time, that's bringing up my thing that happened to me, right? So it can compel people to reach out. Like we've talked about before, the Me Too movement, people now in their 60s, 70s that never talked about it, or they did and they weren't believed back then. So we have all age groups. So it's very, very personal. Some people prefer to talk. So that's our 1-800 number on our website is there. That's 24/7. But if you prefer to type and chat through, through, our web chat or texting, then you can do that too. So yeah, I mean, we support all age groups. And the thing about crisis support, if you think about, we talk a lot here at KSAC about people's healing journey, right? And everybody has their own healing journey. And I like to visualize it as like there's a path through the woods, or any type of path, however you want to picture it. But that reaching out to the crisis support is like that first step on your healing journey, because that's the initial place where you say, hey, this happened to me. Is there anyone I can talk to? How can I get connected with support if they want, right? Some people are ready to connect to our Center for Counseling or groups, and other people just want someone to chat in that moment. But that crisis call or that chat or that text is that first step. So we always commend people for their courage in doing that. It takes so much courage to reach out for that first time. And a lot of people are nervous, but I will say unanimously, most people say, I'm so glad I reached out today. Even though I was scared, even though I was nervous, I'm so glad I did it. And you know what, Alicia, on text, on web chat, on call, there's so many times that we're the first people, anybody that they've told, right? So that's a huge place of trust, and we honor that trust. We honor that confidentiality. And we take that really seriously, and we hold space for people. So yeah, and just so you know, if that's you out there and you have never talked about it and you want to talk about it, we are the exact right place to do that. And we know the courage it takes to do that.
And I know that we not only support survivors, but we also can support their supporters as well. And I think that's really important, as allies, as supporters in our community. If someone discloses to you, hey, something's happening, do you know those resources? Do you know who you can reach out to? And I know there's always that nervousness with accessing support somewhere, reaching out to an agency. Maybe Tracey, you could take me through what it's like to reach out to our web chat, for example, which you can access on your phone as well as on a computer, a desktop, laptop, etc.
Yeah, you mean like the technical pieces of it?
Or just what it looks like as a
So if you go to our website, kawarthasexualassaultcenter.com, you'll see, there it is. Yay, that's us. So see at the top there, the 1-800 number, that is our line, the 24 support line. And then right above that is our little web chat line. So when you click that, you want to click it? Go ahead.
Yeah.
We might as well, eh? It takes you to what we call a landing page. Yeah, and that just, you can read through what our web chat is about. And then at the bottom, when you click I understand, let's talk, you'll be connected to, during the day it's staff, and then after hours it's our highly trained volunteers. You'll be connected, you'll come on, they'll, say welcome, and there's a little blurb, and then, the person says, how can I help you? And you just start typing away. So it's very easy. It's completely confidential. Some people just need to chat in that moment. And you mentioned supporters, Alicia. We do get on the chat often, like, hey, this happened to my friend. How can I best support them, right? Or what can I do? Or, how can they reach out to you if they want to? So that definitely happens, right? Parents, partners of survivors, friends of survivors. So yeah, and that's our crisis support line. That's also 24/7. So, and then on that main page, there was our texting number too on the main purple page. Can reach out through text as well.
Okay.
And then after the text, we always encourage you to delete the conversation from your phone, just for your safety reasons. So another safety thing, when we're talking about safety, when people are on the web chat, there's also on our website, once you get in there, there's like there's a quick escape button. So say, leave site now. So say somebody walked in the room and you didn't want them to see your computer, you could go that, and there it goes. It takes you to the weather network. And then people wouldn't know that you were on there. So that's a really good safety feature too, right?
And the information on the web chat is not saved to your phone either. Once you exit the web chat, that's now gone. You don't have to worry about deleting.
No, exactly. Yeah. And the system deletes conversations after so many hours, right? So yeah, and of course, there's, just like anything, there's limits to confidentiality if someone's at risk, all of those things that other agencies have too. So yeah, but access to our chat, our chat gets used pretty much on a daily basis, I would say now. At first, and do you remember, our chat used to only be on the weekends, 7 to 11, on Friday and Saturdays, but yeah, gradually over the past year during the pandemic, we've seen it increase too. And the amount of overnight chats has gone up too. So kudos to all our overnight chat volunteers, our night owls. So, but that's what crisis support is about, being there in the moment for people.
And as we're in our last couple minutes here, it's gone by so fast. What are your thoughts about Sexual Assault Prevention Month? And from that, what's your final message to survivors and their supporters in our communities?
Yeah, so to me, Sexual Assault Prevention Month is just that, right? What are things we can do in society to prevent this, right? We can't prevent, how people think, but we can certainly, like what you do on your team, I think education is that key piece, right? Changing the scripts that have been in society for a long time, addressing those toxic masculinity pieces, how to, like all the work you do, Alicia, how to stand up to sexism, racism, rape jokes, how to be an upstander, not just a bystander, right? Like how to speak up for those things in your social group, right? Really, please keep teaching about consent. We still get on the chat, people confused about consent, or was this consensual? That, huge is still huge, and especially amongst youth. So that's what it's about to me, is like changing the message and educating people, right? Addressing those things in our society that contribute to rape culture. Yeah. And then for me, I want survivors to know, we believe you, number one. You are not alone. We can connect you with people and supports. And just thank you for trusting us, right? We know that's a huge thing. So yeah, and the biggest thing is you're not alone, and reach out and connect with our center if you want to learn more on how to prevent that and learn more in your own life.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Tracey. I feel like we could have had another 30-minute conversation with this.
Thanks for doing this.
Sorry. Amazing. Well, thank everyone so much for joining. May is Sexual Assault Prevention Month. So be sure to get engaged, to educate, and to support folks. Connect with our 24/7 crisis supports. They are always there. So thank you everyone so much for joining us today. And thank you, Tracey.
Bye.